So tell me about your research. Like, how do you research these recipes, and how has your research changed from 15 years ago when you first started doing this to now? You mentioned paleography. I'm wondering like what your research process is for getting these recipes. And then I have some follow-up questions based on what you say.
Yes. I guess I started like most people and bought books that claimed to have authentic Tudor recipes. And for a while, I was very happy and I recreated those recipes until somebody who pointed out to me, do you realize they're actually modernized? And I thought, modernized? Oh, what can we do about that? So I then started to look into recipe books that at least took their recipes from an authentic source and that gave me the source. So I started to look into the authentic recipe, the 16th century text. And for the first time did I realize, oh my word, this reads totally different. You cannot really look at a modernized recipe and believe that this is what it was like. It's a real journey back into history. And in the beginning, I have to confess, I had real problems reading, deciphering these authentic recipes. I mean, even the printed versions. Anybody who's looked into 16th century English realizes very quickly everything is different. The spelling is different. Even within the same recipes, do you often get the same word spelled in 3 different ways? But most most challenging is the fact that half the recipe or what we expect to be there is missing. Big chunks of what to do missing. Measurements very, very rare, if at all. Often the main ingredient doesn't appear. And you think, whoa. And this is where it comes in really useful if you are a competent cook. Because you look at the few ingredients that you can find, you roughly know what type of dish this could potentially be, what is missing, and what's interesting. And you start to form a picture, you know, a little bit like a jigsaw. You've got bits and pieces and you start putting the bits and pieces together. And it's really, really hard in the beginning and you make many mistakes. And the best way to test the mistakes is by recreating what you think the recipe is telling you. And if it doesn't work, you know, back to the drawing board. There's a vital mistake somewhere. But that's what makes it so exciting, because you never really know what to expect.
How many times have you had to recreate like a recipe? Have you had to recreate any more than like 10?
It depends. Some I still haven't quite figured out, and I still have to go back again and again. What helps is that what is helping is the fact that all over Europe, some recipes were sort of international, but they all had their take on it. And different recipes go into a little bit more details in different sections. So you have to start looking at how did the Germans do it? How did the Italians deal with it? And the Italians, oh God, I love the Italians. Those were the cooks, or those that wrote out the recipes, that really supplied the most detailed recipes, and in all fairness, also the tastiest. Uh,
Yeah.
they really knew how to cook then. So yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. But you learn a lot by studying the Italian recipes. And then you go back to your English source and you realize that must be the same one, but the English one isn't mentioning step 1, step 4, but you can fill in the gaps by comparing it with other recipes from.
And what are these recipe books that you're looking? I mean, I know like later in the early modern period in England, there were some cookery books, but like with the Italian, are these cookery books? Are you looking at like household records of purchases, like of grocery, or like what are you looking at?
It very much depends. Obviously, you have the, the, the handwritten recipe collections by sometimes just a housewife, but sometimes by more professional people. And then towards the end of the 16th century, you are beginning to see professionally printed cookery books. And their sole task is to sell this book to people who want to cook. In the 16th century, the market is very much still for the male cook, the male chef. And you can tell. But around 1600 or very close to 1600, do you start to see the first cookery or recipe books geared at the ladies of the house? Which is very interesting because that clearly shows us, now it's also acceptable for the lady of the house to do some cookery, where before it would have been the maid or, somebody in the kitchen, totally anonymous. We would never know who they were, unless the very posh kitchens, and they always employed male cooks. The French cooks were, funny enough, the most popular ones. I do not understand why the English royal family, the Tudors, employed French chefs, where I would have gone for an Italian, definitely.
Okay. And what, like these books, is it like Gervais Markham? Is that like some of the
No, the best example is probably Scappi's Opera. It's a massive cookbook. I think it's got 600 pages, if I'm not mistaken. I've never counted them, but it's the biggest one. And it's full with recipes, one recipe after the other. Where Markham's book is more a general advice book, which combines recipe, cookery, but also gardening and how to store your food. It's a lot more general, and obviously it's also 17th century. So it's a little bit later and not quite Tudor. I mean, his mindset was that of a Tudor gentleman, but he actually wrote, and his works were printed in the 17th century.